There we go. Kind of. It says,
Semi-Italian.
yeah, me too. Half. I count it though. I count it.
My family sure is.
Yes, exactly. So garlic, huge garlic fans, of course, I'm hoping. So how many of you have ever heard that garlic's good for things like colds? I mean, I've heard this for years. I've heard it for years. I've also heard lots of things like it's also good for keeping mosquitoes away, because even they can't deal with the smell, which I find ridiculous because I don't think they smell, but I could be wrong. There's all kinds of reasons why garlic has been attributed to many, many, many things. So anyway, a British study in 2001 decided to double-blind test this. So they got 146 healthy adults from November to February. And garlic is so prevalent. I remember Robin Leach back in the 80s doing garlic tablet ads. Garlic, yes, Rod. And I'm sure they still exist, the whole odorless garlic supplements. Lim is like, I remember that guy. Yes, Lifestyles Rich and Famous and cold-free. So garlic, you can eat natural garlic, you can have garlic powder, you can take garlic supplements. Why? Why? Is it like fish oil, same kind of thing? Well, that's what these British scientists were trying to figure out. Does garlic prevent colds? So here's the study. They followed 146. They tried to break them into two equal groups. For whatever reason they didn't. They got 72 and 74, which is close enough. Okay? Oh, you know what possibly could have been? I didn't check this. They could have had more than 146 at the beginning, and they lost people during the study, and they ended up with this. That's one potential explanation. So the ones that received the garlic supplement were 24 colds during the study period, 65 in the placebo group. Now that seems telling to me, doesn't it? Yeah. That seems telling. You've got 24 out of 72, that's a third. So a 33% cold rate. And you've got 65 versus 74, which is like whatever that is, 85, 86%. That seems telling. The only problem I have, my gut is like, okay, so it looks like garlic's doing better. But what's the only other problem that I've got? Mathematical, not structural problem. Because there's lots of structural problems with this study, aren't there? What's one huge structural problem?
The health of the people.
Right. Never was it audited, or at least in this synopsis of the data. Now, actually, they did give them a pre-screening before they allowed them to take enroll in the study. The problem was, where did they let them go once they pre-screened them? Back out into the world. That's my problem with any study like this, is when you let people go out into an uncontrolled environment, all of a sudden there are other variables besides just the garlic keeping track. That's one problem I have. There's one other definitional problem I'd like to address.
Well, what's the definition of a cold?
What is the definition of a cold? How many of you have had a cold this year? I think I've had like 3 or 4. But I've got a 7-year-old who has to go to school and a job to come here to do. So I drink a bunch of coffee. I make sure I'm not communicable, thank God. Which means I can generally tell after 41 years of age when I'm going to make somebody sick, and I try to stay home then. But what is a cold, right? What is a cold? Who's got a definition? Yeah, you kind of know when you really have a bad one, but what's that tipping point? Like I snotted myself 3 times in an hour? That counts now? I don't know. There's got to be a cutoff somewhere. But let's let all that go. That's more a research methods question, right? The defining of the variable. I'm focused more on the mathematics in this class. The math pieces behind how we test it. Okay, let's assume that it was all well defined. Let's forget the fact that it was an uncontrolled thing for now. I love picking those things apart though, don't get me wrong. I love picking those things apart. It makes the conclusions of the study a little more suspect. So we got garlic and colds. Good. Now, which variables are we going to test right now?
P.
We're back to P. How do we know we're back to P?
Percentage of the people.
Because we're looking at something out of something, which is a percentage. We've got 24 out of 72, and we've got 65 out of 74. We're not testing severity of colds, for example. We're not looking at how bad their colds were. That would be an average, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, I don't want to live anymore, 1 being, I'm fine today. How is your cold? That's an average, because you take those numbers and average them together. We're simply saying, if we've defined a cold, it's yes or no, they have them or they don't. Make sense? So we're back to percentages. Love it. We're going to stay with these the rest of our time together. We've got 2 of them, don't we? We got 2 because we have what's the first group? I like this. Percentage of colds where?
Without.
Oh, without garlic? I love that. Good, with the placebo pills, the control group. The ones that get a pill. And what's funny about placebos is sometimes they actually do things. Doctors know this. The next data set down, should you choose to look at it, shows what happens when patients knowingly are given placebos and then asked to rate whether or not they feel better. And it's somewhat surprising. The study hasn't replicated yet. We'll get back into that. So, percentage of colds without garlic versus percentage of colds with. Yes. Cool. So, control group, experimental group. What does double blind mean again? It's a double-blind study.
The researchers don't know who's in what group.
Good. So there's a person.
People getting tested.
Good. That's the single and doubleness factor. So there's a person walking out with a pill, giving it to the subject in the study. That researcher has no idea what's in that pill. The person who gave them the pill does. The person behind the two-way mirror. Now, why is it important that the researcher giving the person the pill not know what pill they're giving them?
So they can't indicate somehow unintentionally.
And I like how you said somehow and unintentionally, Elizabeth, because it's very often not knowingly that we're doing that. It might be something as simple as how we raise our eyebrows, or how we walk faster versus slower. These little psychological clues. I've learned about that in my 105 class with the Monty Hall question I do. I actually bring the doors to class. People say, oh, when you put it behind door number 1, you do this little dance. I do? Apparently I do. And you guys pick up on it after about 20 trials. It's incredible. These unknowing little body language things we do. So it's very important that the researcher handing the pill doesn't know. And it's obviously important that the person getting the pill doesn't know. Because that can mind over matter. That can affect how you react, even if you don't think it can, if it's the response to a cold. Cool. Awesome. Awesome. Good. Hypotheses. What's our belief? At least based on the raw data that we got back. What does it look like?
P2 is less than P1.
Looks like it, huh? Looks like P2 is less than P1. Yes, sure does. Of course, it could backfire on us and it could make it worse. Or, more likely, it could be exactly the same and we're wasting our money on garlic supplements. Although you can't waste your money on garlic. You can't ever waste your money on garlic. I used fresh garlic in beer cheese bread the other day. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, sweet Jesus. Felt the hair burn on my chest. So good, so good. That's me chest hair, beer garlic bread. Beer cheese bread. Okay, here we go. Now, let's look at the errors real quick, a couple more times. If you leave this class with nothing more than an understanding of p-value and appreciation of error, I'm happy. And it's quite all right. Type 1 would be?
We said that it made a difference in it.
Yes. Garlic. Type 1 is saying garlic makes colds happen less, but it's false. I call this, for any supplement, the airborne error. This is the error, quote unquote, they made when they marketed airborne the first time. They've since pulled the study off their bottles, or not bottles, but their little packaging. But I call that the airborne error whenever it comes to a supplement like this.
Accidental error.
Well, I give them the benefit of the doubt, Sean, even when I shouldn't. But type 2 would be?
Does not reduce cold.
Yes! Type 2 would be we missed it. Maybe garlic is a wonder drug with colds. And we missed it.
Good.
Which is worse? We vote for type 1? Elizabeth's like, I'm not sure.
I don't know, because if you have a cure for a cold and you miss it, then...
Right. Yeah, I vote for type 1, I vote for type 2. I like both of them. Type 1 will be worse because now you're inviting companies to capitalize on BS, essentially, right? If there is no difference in cold rates, you're giving a company carte blanche to go, you know what, go ahead, run with it. Let's go prove that our product's going to make colds less. That, I can see why type 1 would be a bad thing. From a consumer's point of view, you're going to waste your money on something that doesn't work. Although I've been told the exact same thing for acupuncture. It works for me, but it's never been shown to work in the average population. So type 2, I can see why type 2 would be too, because Elizabeth's saying, man, if you've got something that cures the common cold, how often have you heard that phrase? Cure for the common cold. It doesn't exist, right? It does not exist. The best cure for the common cold is wait 10 days. And then it's gone. Because that's how long they usually last, right? That's what's so common about airborne. Airborne, within 10 days, symptoms are lessened. Or just drink a bunch of water without airborne in it, wait 10 days. I mean, it's comical, right? But if you have that and you missed it, you don't want to do that. So you guys are realizing what you would do to your confidence for each of these errors. If you want to avoid a type 1, jack it up. If you want to avoid 2, jack it down. That's how you deal with confidence differences. Good. Very, very good. Okay. One last quick calculation, then we'll take our 5 and we'll test the iPod. Which test are we going to